Dandavat Pranam. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayati girim yatkrupathamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramanandamavam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram. So Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam to all. So today we will take a very important topic, a very important question which generally most of us have either in the starting of our journey or somewhere in the middle or somewhere when we are going through some problems, or sometimes people will come and ask this question. The question is why we should take only Krishna shelter, why not someone else's, right? And is there any guarantee that Krishna will rescue us every time, or does he have the capacity, or maybe we should seek someone else's shelter? Like that, so many doubts may come, people may throw some doubts on us. And many times when we are not able to get out of some problems, we are doing bhakti, but still some problems are not solving. So shall I take someone else's shelter? Maybe for some time. Okay, Krishna is also there, but maybe shall I take shelter of someone else, so that at least for this problem I should take someone else's shelter, and once this problem is solved, then I'll come back to Krishna. So can this happen and all? So all these questions we may have, so we'll try to understand the answer for this question by understanding the prayers of Gajendra. So in the Gajendra Moksha, when Gajendra was caught by a crocodile, he was unable to release himself, right, relieve himself from that trouble. He seek shelter of the Supreme Lord, right? So that time he offered some prayers, and out of that one verse we will take. So this verse comes into Srimad Bhagavatam 8th canto 3rd chapter 17th verse. So the verse says, Madrik prapanna pashupasha vimokshanaya muktaya bhuri karunaya namolayaya swamshena sarvatanu brunmanase pratita pratyak drishe bhagavate brahate namaste. So we'll try to see this verse some words by words, okay? So first is Madrak Prapanna, surrendered like me, okay? So Gajendra is telling us to take surrender. Now, why we should surrender to someone else? So life is full of so many problems, so many troubles. Sometimes with our own capacity, with our own resources, we are able to solve the problems. But sometimes the problem goes beyond our control, beyond our capacity to control them or solve them. So that time, what we have to do? We have to take someone, the shelter of someone who is superior to us, who has more power or higher power than us. So taking shelter of those who have higher power than us is not an easy thing, right? Because we have so much of false ego, so much of falsity about our own thing, that we may hesitate to take shelter, right? So having hesitation to take shelter is one problem. But some people have another problem, that they don't know that they have to take someone else's shelter, right? Sometimes the falsity, the ego and the pride is so much that we don't feel the need of taking someone else's shelter, right? Sometimes some people foolishly, without taking shelter, they ruin their life, right? So that level of falsity, that level of foolishness also we can see in some people, right? So in general, taking someone else's shelter or surrendering to someone else feels like, we are putting ourselves down. Okay, if you are taking shelter of someone who is superior, that means you are down only, so we don't like to put ourselves down. We always want to feel superior, isn't it? So that is why many people hesitate. But do we have to hesitate, or do we really require to take surrender or not? Let us try to understand by the next two words, that is pashu pasha, right? So why pashu word is being used? Pashu means animal. So are we animals? Why we are using that word? So Srila Prabhupada and the Shastra says that, the person who is taking a human form of life, and yet he lives with the feeling that he is body and everything that belongs to the body is his. If he feels this, or if he lives with this feeling, then he is no more better than a Dvipada Pashu. That means a two-legged animal, right? Why? Because human form of life is to understand that we are not the body, but we are the spirit, or we are the spiritual soul, and we have to live like a soul. Self-realized person we have to become. That should be the ultimate goal, not to just do sense gratification and acquire things, consume things, buy things, right? So pashu pasha, why we are saying pasha? Because pasha means noose, okay? Or someone is trapped with some rope, just like we we keep animals binded through some rope, right, so that they should not run away, or we want to control them, right? Sometimes we put in their nose, sometimes we put around their neck and all. So because of that, what happens? They cannot get away from us, right? So similarly, the external energy of the Supreme Lord, Maya, Mahamaya, is actually keeping us under her control, under her influence, by the three modes of material nature: the mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. These three are keeping us trapped, right? Many times we wanted to do something, but we are not able to do it. Why? Because we are in the nose of those three modes, right? We wanted to do bhakti, we wanted to be good, but somehow our past conditioning, our external conditioning and all are not at all favoring us, right? So we are actually in the Pashupasha, right? We are thinking like a Pashu because we are mostly engrossed in our bodily and mind desires only, right? We forget that we are a soul. And the more we forget, the more we get trapped into it. So what we want? We want vimokshanaya. We want a release from this, right? So sometimes we may get a doubt, like, we hear so much about pure devotion and we feel like, asking for some help or some favor from the Lord seems like it is not pure devotion. So should I ask or not, right? So when we hear the pastime of Gajendra, we should know that we can ask for the help, right? And we should ask for the help not to have sense gratification, but to continue our pure devotion, right? Sometimes a devotee may be in so much of trouble that he can ask a favor to the Lord, right? Just like if we are in so much of trouble, we can ask our help from our parents or from our superiors, right? Now that help we are not asking to just get away from the things, but to continue our service, isn't it? So similarly, Gajendra was asking release from that crocodile. For 1000 years he was fighting, right? And that problem seems inconquerable, so he wanted help. So similarly, we can also ask for help, right? Vimokshanaya, release from our problem. But actually, the biggest problem that we have is we want to get liberated from this world itself, not only from one problem, right? During the Gajendra's prayer, initially he started to ask for the release from the crocodile. But as the problem moved little high, his consciousness expanded. He understood, actually, this crocodile is not my problem. The problem is I am into this animal body, I am into this material world. So similarly, when we are get into some problems, we should understand that the problem that we are able to see is not the only problem, right? The problem is that we are in this material world. We are in the place where there are only problems, right? So our problem is not this or that. Our problem is that we are in the wrong place, right? So that is why what we should ask, we should ask for the mukti. And who can give us the mukti? Muktaya. The one who is liberated can only liberate us, right? So why we seek Krishna? Because Krishna is liberated. Why we seek shelter of pure devotees? Because with the mercy of Krishna, pure devotees are also unentangled, right? So they are muktas, right? Mukta jivas. They might be in a material body, they might be in the material world, but because of the mercy of the Supreme Lord, because they are doing Lord's mission, they are also mukta jivas. So whose shelter we have to take? Those who are muktaya, right? So the one who is out of the well can only take us out from the well, right? So if we are fallen in a deep well, we cannot seek help from those who are in the well, right? We need help from the person who is outside the well, who can give us the rope, who can pull us out, isn't it? So Krishna is always liberated, right? That is why he can liberate us. Acha, the question comes is like, okay, Krishna is Muktaya, he has capacity to release us, right? But why he will release us? Is the capacity enough? No. The next word says Bhuri Karunaya. So Krishna is not only capable, but he's concerned, he's compassionate for us, right? So that is why he can actually give us the liberation, right? So he's Bhuri Karunaya. He always compassionate, so much compassionate that even if we reject him, even if we do offenses against him, right? Still his intention to help us will not go away, right? So much so that the next word says Namo Alayaya. That means he's so much enthusiastic, consistently helping us that he never get tired of it, right? See, when Gajendra starts the prayers, he's asking Muktaya. So he's asking Krishna, like, help me. Now Krishna might ask, like, okay, I have the capacity, but why I should help you? So then he says, Bhuri Karunaya. You are actually so compassionate that helplessly you will help us, because you cannot see a jiva struggling like this, right? You are the supreme father, and a father cannot see the children suffering, right? So you are Bhuri Karunaya. So then Krishna might say, okay, I cannot see it, but I have seen that I have offered help so many times, but you have not taken it seriously. Many in many lifetimes I am trying to help you, but still you are not taking. So why I should continue, right? Then what Gajendra says, Namo Alayaya. I know that I have rejected your help. I did not follow every time, but I know that you will never get tired because of this, right? You will still, with the same enthusiasm, you'll always help me. You'll never get lazy by telling that, oh, I have helped that jiva for 1,01,000 times. Now it is enough, right? The Lord never says that, I am done enough. Now iske aage main kuch nahi karunga. I will not do anything others. Lord never says that. He is always tries to help us in some or other way. So his Namo Alayaya. Okay, so he has the capacity and he has the karuna or the compassion to help us. And he is tirelessly helping us. So he's tireless. Okay, he'll never get tired. Now we might ask, like, okay, but does he know how to help us? He has the capacity, he has the willingness, he never get tired, but does he know everything? Then the next word says, Swa Amshena Sarva Tanubhrun Manasi. So as Paramatma, as his own expansion, he stays in our heart every time. Whether we are living in an animal body or a human body or a demigod body, whatever body we are living into, wherever we are living into, he is always with us as Paramatma, right? And Paramatma, is he inactive? That means he's there, okay, but is he active? He is he's cognizant about all the things. Yeah, how? Pratita Pratyadrik. Yani every time he is watching us, actively noting down everything. Lord knows what we say, what we don't say, what we mean by saying so. So everything Lord actually knows. There is no point or no point of time where we can say that, Lord never heard me or Lord never understood me, right? So why we say we cannot cheat Krishna? Because the person who is always present, the person who knows everything, we cannot cheat him, right? So let us say if Krishna is present only sometime, he is not there sometime, then we can say, oh Krishna, when you are not there, na, that time this guy said like this to me, and that is why I did to him. So it is true only. So we cannot say that to Krishna, because Krishna is always there in the person whom we are addressing. Krishna is always there in us also, right? So the person who is always active, who is everywhere, every time, we cannot cheat him. And this is our advantage, that Krishna is always there, actively watching everything. That is why we should know that he is the only person who can help us. Because if we spend a lifetime with a person also, we may not understand him sometimes. Okay, some part of him we can understand, but we cannot completely understand. But Krishna stays with us life after life, so close that he hears everything, he sees everything, he feels everything, right? Krishna knows the feelings of our feelings also. If we are feeling like something, he also knows the reason behind that feeling. That much cognition Krishna has. That is why he is the perfect person, right? And is he the only controller or small area controller? No, he's Bhagavan Bruhate Namaste, right? So Ishvara means actually the controller. But who is Krishna? Ishvaraha Paramaha Krishna. He is the controller of the controllers itself, right? Anything that can be controlled is under the control of Krishna, right? So that is why Bhagavan Brihate, so the topmost Ishvara, right? Parama Ishvara, who is that? That is Krishna. That is why we are taking shelter of him. So he, what first thing is, we want release, vimokshanaya, from what? Pashupasha. So for that, what we have to do? Madrak Prapanna, we have to surrender. And why we have to surrender to Krishna? Because he is Muktaya, he is liberated. And Bhuri Karunaya, he is incessantly, overwhelmingly compassionate about us. Like, we cannot comprehend also that how much compassion he has. Then Namo Alayaya, he is never tired of helping us. And why he is the best person? Because Swam Shena Sarvatanubhrun Manasi. He is staying in our heart, so he knows everything. He not only knows how to help us, but he also knows how to help us. I was giving an example. A perfect doctor knows how to treat a children and how to treat the adult. Right? If you want to give an injection for a child, he might tell some stories. He might slowly inject the needle, and he'll make sure that the child should get the minimum pain, right? And for an adult, he may not think much, he just give it, okay, because he knows that the adult can actually bear that pain, right? So a perfect doctor knows how to give an injection, how to do the treatment. So similarly, Krishna not only knows our capacity to help, but he exactly knows how to help us, what things he has to give to us so that we can get purified, we can get elevated. He exactly knows. That is why he never gives any problem or anything that we cannot bear, right? He only gives us those things which can help us to grow, right? Imagine if Srila Prabhupada's problems are there in our life, then we will not grow as a pure devotee, but we will give up the devotion. Why? Because we don't have that capacity to handle all those problems. We get fever, we forget chanting. We get two heart attacks, think about us. Can we do it? No. Only Srila Prabhupada can continue like that, with that heart attack, with that illness at that advanced stage. He can go. That is why he has created problems to that. And through that, he wanted to teach us. He will not give those problems to us and try to teach the world through us. No, because we don't have that capacity. So Krishna perfectly knows what we can handle, what we cannot handle. And that is why we have to depend on Krishna. We have to take shelter of Krishna, because no one knows better than Krishna about our situation, and no one is as capable as Krishna. Some people, some demigods, or some great personalities may have some control, some cognition, some compassion towards us, but they don't have all cognition, all compassion, all capacity. And that is the reason whose shelter we have to seek always? Only Krishna's shelter. When all the shelters of the world will go away, still one shelter remains, that is Krishna's shelter. So we should take shelter of that person whose shelter will always be there, right? Not only when we ask, but when we don't ask also, the one who is protecting us is Krishna only. So when there is one person who is protecting us all the time, then why we should turn towards someone else? We should only seek shelter in Krishna. We should seek our refuge only in Krishna. Right? So when someone asks you, or when your mind asks that shall I go for another person, okay, then you should be very clear that no other person can do what Krishna can do. Right? The eighth verse of Shikshashtakam says that आश्लिष्य पादरतं वा विनष्टु माम् अदर्शनं मर्महतां करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विदधातु लम्पटो मत्प्राणनाथस्तु स एव नापरः. So out of love, the Brajavasis or the Radharani's mood is telling that, I am so much in love with you that I cannot have anyone else as my master or as my lord, isn't it? But we may not have that much love. But technically, from this verse, we should try to understand like, okay, we don't love Krishna, but at least he loves us, and technically he is superior than everyone, and technically no one is more capable than him. So let us take shelter of him. So the more we know about him, what happens? The inspiration to take shelter will actually increase, right? And the more inspiration we get by hearing this, the more we'll take shelter, and the more faith will reinstill in us. Okay, it is not only technically I heard, but I can experience that only Krishna can, because I saw that when that problem was there, I asked shelter from so many other people, but no one actually released from it. Only Krishna did it. Just like Gajendra was fighting for 1,000 years, he applied all the knowledge he has, all the resources he had, but he could not get the release. That is why finally he said, like, now there is only one person who can release me. Right. So similarly, because of our pride, and as Prabhu was telling, because of our false ego, we may have so much faith in our resources, our people, our own capabilities, our talent, and all. But actually, some or other point, the situation will come where we will understand that nothing that I have can rescue me from this problem. Only Supreme Lord. Now, the attitude should not be that, let that kind of situation come into my life. Let that situation of Gajendra come into my life. Then only I'll take shelter. So we should not be like this. Already we know that, Krishna can save us from that level of situations also. So it's better let us start taking shelter from now itself. so that we can avoid that situation, isn't it? An intelligent person learns from others, right? So from Gajendra pastime, what we have to learn, that we need not wait for the situation like Gajendra. Okay, let us take shelter from now itself, and let us not take shelter because we have problems, but let us take shelter because he loves us, and let us try to love back him as much as possible. So this is what we can learn. So Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you. Hare Krishna.